Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to this conversation centered around P-Valley. Without further ado, I'm not gonna make y'all wait. Let's bring out our panelists. First up is Nicco Annan, AKA Uncle Clifford. Right behind him is Miss Brandee Evans, AKA Mercedes. And last but not least is Shannon Thornton, AKA Keyshawn, Miss Mississippi. All right, let me get settled. Let me sit down.
What's up, y'all?
You know, it's a situation. It's like watching somebody's grandma get in a chair. It's
That's
so
a
sad.
lie. That's a lie.
Oh, my God. So first, let me congratulate y'all on a season 3 of P-Valley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we got season 1, we got season 2, and now we about to get into season 3. All right. But we're going to get into some deep discussion right here and now. Okay, y'all ready?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So, P-Valley is a place and a acronym for something other than what we think it is, right? And I just want to go into it talking about, you know, there was a documentary that's out by a Tony Award winner named Sarah Jones. And it's called Sell by Date. And it's about sex workers. And it's about black sex workers, white sex workers. And she made it because her sister was a sex worker and took her life. And so she wanted to make this film to help her understand, to get some kind of vantage point around why these people either choose this life or get thrust into this life, right? So having said that, I want y'all to talk about the origins of P-Valley and why your characters may have chosen that life or been thrust into it. I'll start with Brandee first.
You're going to thrust me into it.
Yes, girl, I'm going to thrust you into it.
With a little love now. With a little love.
A little love tap.
How y'all doing this evening? Thank you for being here. Well, first of all, let me educate y'all real quick. Nicco gonna really break down the show. I always throw that to him. But Pussy Valley, the name also is a neighborhood from my hometown, Memphis, Tennessee. So a lot of people, when you think of that word, of course, you're like, ooh, cringy. Get out your feelings. Quit being a prude, okay? I said what I said. But first of all, it's deeper than the bodies, okay? I'm sure y'all have seen that, the pole we were talking about in the last panel. You climb up, you come down, just like in life. You go up and you come down. So it's much deeper than the bodies. It's much deeper than just the name, okay? So that's why we like to say, I know I've liked to say, don't judge a book by its cover. Actually sit down and watch it. And if you've seen 201, I hope you have seen 101 through 108 too. And if not, now you got something to learn about. So with Mercedes, I think that she was thrust into this situation. We're talking about generational curses. If y'all have really seen it, if not, you got some homework to do. Go back to season 1 where you're gonna see her mama child was a mess. Is a mess, and all the things that she has gone through, but also there is love. It's not all just mess, because there's beauty in your mess. So I believe that you see Mercedes seeing some of the mess and thinking, you know what can I do differently? Though if sometimes we still come down that same road as our parents or other people that we are around, Mercedes is trying to figure out how she can do it differently, how she can be a better mother, how she can be more present, how she can be a business owner, how she can get out of the mud of what she feels like she had to go through. And once y'all really get deep into it, you'll see some of that backstory in season 2 of what happens to Mercedes. So it's much deeper than just the club, the bodies. It's a life, y'all. And we all can relate to somebody, if not ourselves, that are in similar situations as every woman and man on P-Valley.
Thank you, Brandee. And we're going to break it down even further with my boy Nicco, because in the last conversation, we were talking about the poll, and you said the poll is the truth, and I want you to elaborate on that for these people. Go ahead, break it down, because you know how to do it so very well.
Oh, well. When you want to get into it, y'all, you know what it is? Oh, y'all are listening. I love it. No, she was ready. No. You know, the poll being the truth, that's to me what this show represents. And I think that the show represents a level of community and authenticity across the board. When you ask about what got our characters into sex work, I think that For me, Uncle Clifford is a non-gender conforming person. Uncle Clifford is equally masculine and equally feminine. And it comes out in many different ways. And I feel that sex work is something that is so demonized when it is, in fact, something that most people do to get what they want. Whether that is on that date to get that attention, you're using your sexuality, your lures, as one of my aunts used to say, you know, she used to lure the men in with her décolletage. You know what I'm saying?
Not the décolletage.
Yeah, she would be like, you gotta lure them in with your décolletage. She used to go to Winkleman's and had those good bras with the points. That let you know it had them points. It was like torpedoes away, you know? But I feel like, you know, you use your sexuality in many different ways to gain or to lose or to hide, to shield. And I think about Uncle Clifford creating a space that goes beyond just, quote unquote, what could be perceived as a gay club, or what could be a drag club, a space that is only limited to LGBTQ plus space, but Uncle Clifford is more than that. Uncle Clifford is more than just femininity and more than masculinity, and I dare believe that all of us, if we actually are honest, are that same thing as true. You know, it's very intentional, from the costume designs to the way that, you know, I do have to suffer and get a lot of work done, body work done because of the heels, and you know, you having all of this up on them 6, 7.
Body work like a massage, y'all.
Don't play. You know, in chiropractic work, because it's a lot, but it also is so, again, intentional, because I remember one time, Jay Alphonse and I, who wanted to be here tonight but is actually filming right now, so we give love to our brother, you know, who plays Little Murder. I said we give love to our brother.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But there was a time where I was like, well, we just in the kitchen. The camera ain't on my feet. Like, can we take off the shoes? And she was like, no. And she said no because there then becomes a height difference. And she said, when I am interested, as she said, as a creator, I'm interested in seeing, even from the costume aspect, what it is for men or masculinity to have to look up to femininity. And what that is, and how women in positions of power is very rarely appreciated and taken in different ways. And so I think about Uncle Clifford owning that space. And I think that the sex work of it kind of comes from when you're told that you are not enough. The mandate was given to us, don't change your bodies, in terms of, like, you know, you can eat. You know, like, usually you get a job in Hollywood, then you go on your lemonade cleanse. You know what I'm saying? You go to get it all together, to get it like Josephine and get... But, you know, we were told, like, you know, don't change your bodies. It is written in the scripts to embrace the stretch marks. And to me, that's something that just I've always loved, you know what I mean? I'm gay as the day and the night, but I love sun rays. She know what
You better
the sun
speak
ray
on
is.
it.
Because the sun rays that happens on this melanin skin when you are stretched, when you are loved, when you are plump in all of the right places, you know what the handles are really made for and how to hold on, and more for the pushing. But some people don't know about that. But it's like, hey, you're gonna get your lesson today. You're gonna get your lesson today. So, like, I'm just, you ask, I'm just telling the truth.
Listen, and that's why I asked, because I know you're going to keep it real. Go ahead,
Yeah, I
finish.
just think that, like, Uncle Clifford specifically, you know, created this world of the Pynk, because it was one that was passed down throughout generations, and each generation there is a different iteration of what this club is. Back in the 60s, it was a cotton mill, and it told a lot of our stories from the plantation onward into the working class. And then in the 70s, it was turned over to Grandmother Ernestine, you saw, played brilliantly by Loretta Devine. Yes, go ahead, give her flowers as well. And that's when it became the speakeasy. And then there was a generation where it jumped, because if you are watching season 2, or you have not, or you have already, you would get to meet Beulah. And Beulah is Uncle Clifford's mother. And seeing how it skipped a generation, and you're going to find out more about that relationship. And in that space of, now I got something that came to me a little too early in life, and what do I do with it? And I'm here in this space, I'm speaking as Uncle Clifford now, I'm here in this space where people don't always accept me and don't know what to do, quote unquote, with me. But I dare to be myself and create the space where I can be as authentically as possible. So I think that's what the Pynk is and how she got into sex work.
All right, you better be up here preaching.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Shannon. We have a whole episode that people have,
Yeah.
before you start talking, we have a whole episode in season 2 that solely focuses on Miss Mississippi and her journey. And I want you to just talk about what we've been talking about with Brandee and Nicco about why some people choose to be a sex worker and why some people are thrust into that life by no choice of their own.
Okay. Thrusting and handles and sunrays. Where do I start? There was a very cool scene that we never got to shoot because we didn't have a lot of time. I think Nicco knows what I'm talking about. It's how Keyshawn and Uncle Clifford met. And it would have, I don't even know if we should talk. It would have been at like a Walgreens, and she would have been at, I think she was working at like a counter or something and checking Uncle Clifford's stuff out, and there was like a little, like, oh, you cute. That would have been cool to like see the beginning of that journey and how she kind of got introduced to the Pynk. I think that Keyshawn's introduction to sex work and why she chose this, it was really a form of expression for her and her opportunity to be free, to like truly fly and feel beautiful and feel sexy and feel like a goddess and to just perform and just like be completely uninhibited, and to just be beautiful. If you've seen season 1, I think episode 2, the dominatrix scene, another opportunity for her to be free. She's in an abusive relationship. This is where roles reverse, and she gets to take out all this anger and frustration that's been put on her, and she gets to just beat somebody's ass for the first time, which is really cool. Yeah, I think she uses this as just a channel, as a vessel to just truly just be her beautiful, authentic, free, liberated self. And it's a form of escapism for her because when she goes home, it's completely different. If you watch season 2, I think what you guys saw, like in episode 1, she's performing for her OnlyFans, and it's like, or an OnlyFans adjacent or whatever, and it's so bright and colorful, and there's neon lights, and then as soon as she shuts that camera off and she walks into the kitchen, it's like dark and dreary, and like the mood just shifts, you know? So yeah, a form of escapism for her. Yeah.
Cool. I love in this season in particular, and I said this before, how the women in Uncle Clifford are taking control of their lives, taking power over their lives, taking power over their trajectory. And as you guys check out, if you haven't seen season 1, check it out. If you haven't seen the rest of season 2, you should check it out because you'll see exactly what I mean. But having said that, I want to ask you guys, why do you think it is, so it's the words, right, that we don't say that haunt us forever? As Miss Mississippi, as Mercedes, and as Uncle Clifford, what are the words that y'all didn't say during these 2 seasons that haunt you in this moment?
Isn't that a great question? Come on, you better go ahead and do some work. No, go ahead. I swear I love my cast. Yo, this is family for real. I said, nope, go ahead.
I used to do that
called
with
him and like, no,
you got
you didn't
this, go
throw
ahead,
that
you got
question
this,
on
okay.
me. I gave you the look to go first.
I feel like the answer to that question is something that Uncle Clifford does say. And it's actually later in the season, and it happens at the graveyard. And she says, I feel like I've failed you. And I feel like I've disappointed you. And Uncle Clifford is talking to Beulah. And I think that a lot of times you can be driven by trying to prove something to people that you love, trying to validate yourself in spaces that's like, I can do it, I can do it. I ain't never seen nobody run no business before. Mama, you died before you could really teach me, but like, I can. And here I am, things are falling apart, and I thought I knew, and I'm falling short on the bill, but I got these people here that I love, and they got a safe place, but then it's like, I failed you. So that would be the word. Underneath all of the lights, under all the lights, you know, there's always a little bit of grit to that glitter.
You getting real deep on me tonight. You know that, right?
You know I'm a big,
Always
good old
deep.
man, baby. Don't ever get it twisted. I goes deep. Yeah.
Shut up, Nicco.
Holla at me, baby.
Brandee and
my God.
Shannon, y'all want to tackle that?
You know what? I will say.
Shannon's like, no.
I think that for Mercedes, honestly, first of all, Katori wrote it so beautifully. I remember her, and episode 7 is my favorite, when y'all get there. So Ian as well was a part of writing that episode.
Ian and Nina.
Ian and Nina, yes,
Yeah.
Ian and Nina. And I remember thinking at that door, because that's my favorite part, where she says, Patrice ain't give me no choice. And that one stuck me in my personal life as well. I'm my mama's caregiver, and I love her to death, but mama didn't give me a choice on much of anything. You just shut up and be the child. So in this moment, I thought to myself, if Azaria was really my daughter, if she was really her, you know, how would I feel? How would I speak to her? And just be vulnerable, because sometimes as parents, I feel like of course you want them to do better, be better, all this, but that hard doesn't get through to them sometimes. And you gotta just step back and just be vulnerable and be a human being. And remember that they are children, but they are human beings too. So that part honestly made me cry when I read that in the script, because I was just thinking like, give me a choice. Because I might actually make the choice you want, mama. And I feel like that's exactly what Terica, who's played by the wonderful Azaria Carter, was doing in that scene. We were having that moment to go, you know what, baby? Of course, Mercedes did not want her to continue with the same life that she has done, but she also was going to stand by her side. She wanted her to know, I've got your back. So those were the words that I think I was looking for season 1. And so I was able to have that. So season 2 is so special to me because I'm able to see that. And if I'm going to be completely vulnerable, because my castmates know this, my daughter passed away, and she would have been the exact age of Terica on P-Valley. So when they were saying she's 14, Lyric would have been 14. And so I'm very, very, very close to Azaria. I was literally talking to her just 30 minutes ago. She is like my true baby in real life. So I told Katori, I was like, I don't even think you know this, but these moments on the show, we have, like Shannon, you've heard Shannon speak. She knows someone like that. If she's been talked to rudely about her beautiful skin color, we all have things that have been said about us, and for some reason, this show is like therapy, and it's been beautiful. So I am glad to have these moments.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I always love having conversations with y'all because you all are very vulnerable. You wear your hearts on your sleeves, and you're unapologetic in sharing that. So thank you so much. I want to flip the script a little bit in the last few minutes that we have left and talk about Katori Hall, the showrunner and creator of P-Valley. Yes. Katori has a manner of writing that is very poetic, prolific, and real. She writes the way we talk. Yeah. She writes the way we interact with each other. And I can't remember the last time I saw a show where I see us speaking that way as opposed to a narrative that doesn't fit our lives at all. The way we speak, the way we move, the way we groove, the way we interact with each other. I just want to know from each one of you, how important has it been to have Katori's words in your mouth and say them onto a screen for others to share in that joy?
I remember auditioning.
Stop it.
I remember auditioning for the show. I'm from Connecticut. I have family from Tennessee, though, so when reading the script for the first time, like I saw some of my relatives in this. She spells it out the way it's supposed to sound. So when you hear us, like when you hear Uncle Clifford saying like sit right here or something like that, like it's exactly how it's spelled. If you hear me saying like a shake a spur or something, it's shake a spur. It's reading it. I don't know. You feel like super grounded. It felt rich. It was like nothing else I've ever read, and I've read hundreds of TV scripts, and it was so absolutely beautiful to read something that's for us, by us. It was super beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and that's beautiful. And first of all, standing ovation, girl, because when I first met you, I was like, you from Canada? What? I would have never known. I would have never known because she dropped into her accent so beautifully. I am from Memphis, Tennessee, so the slanguage, as our wonderful showrunner calls it and creator, our dialect, that is how we speak back home. So what I found interesting was that people would be like, who talks like that? Me, man, my mama, my grandmama, Auntie Sharice, everybody. So it's so funny because I had been in LA about 10 years before P-Valley happened for me. And so I called back home. I called my homegirl Tia. I was like, I need to read this script with you. She was like, girl, don't act. I said, but you know how to talk. Like, they are speaking exactly, the dialect is straight from Memphis, Tennessee. So I need to know that I'm sounding right. So she'd be like, girl, you sound like you in Hollywood. I'm like, all right, change it now. We all right good now, man? You know, so it's, for me, it felt like home. And when I remember my first line, ooh, I could not believe it and this nigga gonna say, can I get some change? I never forget that in the audition. And I was like, did this line just say this? Because this is exactly at home. Maine, I was like, wait, Maine, like Maine? Like Maine? Like how we say Maine back home. And then I did not know who had written it when I first got the audition. I knew nothing about any of that. So I found out after that Katori Hall was from Memphis. I was like, wait, I coached the dance team at the high school she went to. So it's just a small world, but it felt like home. Yep, you never knew. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a testament to, like, someone else earlier had asked me, like, you know, I'm a writer, give me some advice. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you the truth. I say, write what's on your heart. And for me, when I read Katori's work, it is very much like Toni Morrison. It's very much like Zora Neale Hurston, in that it is written for the people and it is written in the dialect. And other people that are outside of that community, you have every opportunity to come inside and to dine at this table that she builds with this language. It is not a space of exclusion, but a space of inclusivity on every level. And there are no politics, there's no respectability politics, and if you really pay attention, you have the dialect that's going on, and then you have the idiolect that's going on. And the idiolect is how specific people speak. Uncle Clifford, coming from a very specific generation, coming up in the 90s, is going to say cheer, C-H-E-R-E, right? Mercedes is going to be able to relate to that, and Mercedes is about one of the only girls that say, when I say girls, I'm talking about Uncle Clifford's girls, that are going to say cheer right back to her because there's this level of communication. Lil Murder is never going to say cheer to Uncle Clifford. Lil Murder, Wody, is never going to say flogging because those are older terms from a time period that indicate relationship. And because you have a script that is so specific and crafted with such artistry and intention, there is no miscommunication. And when, as an actor, because there's a thing they say that, they used to say in order to be a valid actor, you had to play straight. And then I say, but then here I am. You understand what I mean? And I feel that to be able to take the things that you learn when you train in these conservatories, where they say that sometimes they kind of water you down or try to whitewash you, I say if you can take what you learn when I am doing restoration periods and when I am doing Gloucester from King Lear and when I'm doing all of these things, I can take those skill sets from Chekhov to Katori Hall. You know, I can take the skill set from working in August Wilson to Katori Halls or the Katori Hallian, you know, you could say, of it all. So it's a space where you really you are able to be home, for real. You're able to be home, you're able to be seen, you're able to access all of the things. I would think sometimes when Omari, who plays Big L, and like he would do scenes and he would put the toothpick in his beard and he'd be like, yo, this is a real nigga shit. And I'd be like, it is, oh my God. And it would be like, we gotta use it. We gotta use it because those are the things that make an entry point for somebody else. And that straight brother that's down in the South that may be a little bit homophobic, when he see that dude connected with Uncle Clifford in this way, there are other walls that are broken down, and then we can get into some work that's done in the real world that's happening from the inspiration of this art that's happening. You can see a woman with a full figure and shapely, and that is brown and dark, and you can see that she is more, and never say to a person, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
Never.
You understand what I'm saying? And I think because you are able to see this world and these characters in such an expansive way, these women are never just one thing. They're never one thing. So that's how it feels.
All right. Well, I think he broke that all the way down, as you usually do. Just stop it. Just to close out the conversation, I would be remiss, because Jay was supposed to be here, and he is working. Bless him, he has a gig. We're all happy that he has a gig. But I would be remiss in letting this conversation go without addressing your relationship with Lil Murda, because it is a relationship that it's not a gay relationship, it's not a relationship between two men, it's a relationship between two human beings who love each other for who they are. And I want to talk to you, I want you to talk about the importance of bringing that story to the screen with your performances, because it's so layered and it's so vulnerable, because you all are very, very vulnerable in the process of sharing that story, that I just want you to touch on it a little bit before we get up out of here.
I think that it's a space where that relationship is one, I think, that echoes every relationship, regardless of identity. And I think that because it is so unexpected, Carla, I think that that's the thing that kind of throws people of like, wait, huh? Wait, why am I feeling something? Oh my gosh, she gonna cut his hair? Like, you know, I cut my man's hair, like, you know, like little things like that. I feel like it's the normalcy of it all. And it just adds to the experience, I think, that hopefully, as audience members, you know, you have this, again, expectation, or you never know because you've never seen. You may know somebody that may be like Uncle Clifford. You may know somebody who may be like Keyshawn or somebody like Mercedes, but you never took the time to really get in to see why she, he, or they are the way that they are. You know, I get oftentimes, both of us, Jay Alphonse and I, you get comments from people that's like, oh, I used to beat up on mofos like that. Oh, I would shoot somebody like that. And it's like, okay, now what you want me to do with that information, bro? Because I'm from Detroit.
Like, don't mess.
I really want you to know. Please don't play. Please don't play.
I need you to know.
I just need you to know. Don't get the rainbow flag confused.
Don't get it twisted.
My nigga. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it is a space that then breaks again down those walls as well. You know, when was that? When we did the pilot presentation? Go ahead, tell it. You remember what it was like? When we were, yes, we were all in the circle when we did the pilot presentation, and we were in the club at the time, and we were all in our, you know, y'all was in y'all floss and everything.
Nervous.
Yeah.
For the first time, we're like fully dressed as our characters.
Like, we
that
really
we've
here,
auditioned
ain't it?
for this whole, yeah.
Yeah. And we were all like, okay, y'all, we doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what better place to get naked, you know, than in a strip club? And we weren't talking about our bodies. We were talking about our emotions. We were talking about our spirits, because there are people that literally live these lives, you know. For everybody to be like, oh, I had an uncle that was kind of like Uncle Clifford, you know, or I have a child that's like Uncle Clifford, or, you know, Mercedes reminds me of myself, you know, I was Keyshawn, you know, so it's like you are going to continue to go on this ride with us. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper in the valley.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Season after season, so yeah.
Yeah, one more thing I want to ask while we're on the subject of Lil Murda. Shannon, you're very protective of him as his friend. You're very, very protective of him. And I just want you to touch on real briefly why you're so protective of him and how important that is to Keyshawn to be able to protect someone else when she's not necessarily protected.
Are you saying
Nico's like, "You better
Keyshawn?
come."
Keyshawn is protective of Lil Murda? Mm-hmm. Yes. I think they just have kind of fallen into each other and have become each other's kind of platonic soulmates, which I think is really beautiful. And they have this really beautiful brother-sister relationship. He doesn't have many people that he could confide in. So they have this unspoken thing where she's like, okay, I see you. And we don't even have to talk about it, but I'm your safe space. And he is absolutely that for her. And when you watch, like maybe midway season 1, and especially throughout season 2, you see this really beautiful relationship develop where they don't have to completely spell it out for things to be absolutely understood. They have this relationship it's so beautiful and it's so deep, this connection they have, that a lot of the stuff is just unspoken, but it's like, we see each other. We have a little handshake and everything, and I absolutely love working with Alphonse, and yeah.
I want to thank all three of you for you always just open your hearts. Whenever we have a conversation, you open your hearts, you open your minds, and hopefully in what you have disseminated and shared with the audience that's listening, you've opened their hearts and their minds too. Let's give it up for Shannon Thornton, AKA Miss Mississippi, Brandee Evans, AKA Miss Mercedes, and Nicco Annan, Uncle Clifford from P-Valley. If you have not seen P-Valley Season 1 and 2, get yourselves home and check it out. I am Carla Renata, your moderator. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, and good night.
Thank you.
y'all.
Did that.